ready, Mr. Tre?
All right.
Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Jacopo Balderrama, but you can call me Jaco. This is Start Motivation. Once again, coming to you live from Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. We're actually Westford, PA this time. I'm here with a very special guest, one more of the most influential people around this area for our Pennsylvania series, Mr. Tre Tipton.
How you guys doing? Nice to meet you guys.
Tre, take me back to Apollo, PA, which that's where the journey begins, right?
Yeah. So I'm originally, as I tell people, I'm from everywhere and nowhere at the same time, man. I moved around a lot. A large part of my life I spent in different areas of the city, but also lived in Virginia, lived in Florida, in various different places. But growing up in Apollo and the places that I've grown up, it was just different, man. I was one of 3 black kids in the entire area, so therefore things were a little bit difficult, right? And then I had moved around so much that I had lived in the city, so I would go from the majority to the minority so consistently, right? So I learned quick on how to adapt to my surroundings and adapt to the people that I was around. And Apollo was different, man. It's a very slow town, bro. It's very rural. There's probably like 7 farms before you even get to the school. And now a kid being a city kid, bro, you're going to see that, bro. At one point in time, I was walking to school, and it was probably like 4 or 5 miles from my house. So like it was one of those things where, bro, you're in the country, bro. So it was definitely nice though, playing sports there. Made history in different ways, man. But I wouldn't change anything, man, because it definitely made me the man I am today.
Well, and you mentioned that you moved a lot. Back when I was a little kid, I was born in Texas, but I did a lot of back and forth between Mexico and here, mainly in Texas. How was it like starting, because I know the feeling, starting over, you kind of get your group of friends or some familiar faces, then you have to rip it out of your heart because it hurts, and you go out to the next one. How did you deal with all that?
Man, I'm a nomad at heart, man. Like, I feel like I fit everywhere and nowhere at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn to kind of just be on my own and being okay with who I was. And then it's always okay to look back and be able to put your hand out for those who try to come along your journey. So like for those friends that I had my heart ripped out by, you know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta let them go. But then sometimes you get those people that stick around forever. It doesn't matter how long you guys don't talk, no matter how long you guys haven't seen each other. You pick up the phone, you call them, like, yo, what's good, you straight?
Yeah.
And those are the true friends, you know? So I've made a lot of those.
I mean, like you said, it's important to know that you kind of have to adapt. And you said, I'm from nowhere and everywhere at the same time, understood and misunderstood. And now it has paid off in its way, right? Now you become a presentable, distinguishable, and respected young man here in your community. Now, as a kid, you mentioned that you had to face the fact that you were a minority in these different areas. Along the path, I know you had to face difficult situations, as I had to when I was a kid as well, unfortunately. It's just being real. Who were people that in your youth you look up to that helped you maybe not fully understand what was going on, but help you get to that next town and the next step?
So just recently, me and my boy Vinny on our last podcast, we had a conversation about this actually, which is crazy that you just brought this up because it happened just today. It was a group full of guys, man, who put their hands on me and a couple other guys, man, just trying to help us get out of the situation we were currently in. You know what I mean? A bunch of AK Valley boys just trying to show people that we could play ball. And Greg Hutcherson, Corey Smith, Christian Clayton, Detrell Hutcherson, which is my cousin, and so many more, man. And now even Wade Brown. Wade Brown's also a close friend of mine, man. He taught me how to hustle the proper way and not the way that I used to put myself in altercations and situations, you know what I mean, when I was a kid. So like I thank all those men for putting their hands to be able to pull me out of it and just get me on the right track, man, because they definitely played a large role. And then of course my dad played a role in that as well, man, just making sure that I stood 10 toes and played it smart, you know what I mean? When he had the opportunity to be in my life, when he could, he'd always make sure that I was on the right track. So those men played a huge role in my life. That's why I'm so passionate about being the local superhero, right? Because like, you think about it, man, like it takes men to raise men, right? It takes a community to raise a child, man, and we don't live behind that no more, right? So we're trying to get back to that. How can we get back to that, man? I've had so many opportunities, traveled so many places, done so many things. I feel like it's necessary for me to go ahead and give back.
Do you feel that you owe it to your community?
Yes, 100%. I owe it to myself as well. You know what I mean? Because as much as you want to do something for other people, you also have to make sure that you're straight, right? So I owe it to myself that I always wanted to be a superhero. So like in order for me to be that, and I have to give back what I learned to my community. Knowledge is power. So if I want to strengthen my community, I have to give them more knowledge, give them more programs, give them more help, connect the right people, and that's the goal right now.
I love how you said that you not only owe it to the community, but you owe it to yourself. A lot of times we get on this mission, right, for a goal, for a career, for a relationship,
Right.
and that's the first thing we're putting, that relationship, that goal, whatever. But is that what we want? Is that what makes us feel fulfilled?
Right.
And not everybody implements that. This is for me, about me first, because how can we expect to help somebody else if we're not even good ourselves?
Come on, man, and that's the thing, bro. I want to be wealthy in more ways than just money. Of course, everybody wants to be wealthy with money, but I want to be wealthy with love, man. Wealthy with experience, knowledge, right? Be able to have my family love me as unconditionally. That's wealth, right? Be able to give my kids that unconditional love. That's wealth. Give my woman, my wife, that unconditional love. That's wealth, right? So that's the wealth that I want to be able to share and be able to have. I stand behind the things that I say, and I try to be very inspirational as much as I can be, because I don't just inspire. I don't try to inspire other people. I try to also inspire myself. You know what I mean? Because it sometimes takes you waking yourself up to get up.
Amen. And like you said, we have to be our biggest motivator. We have to be our biggest fan. And I always say this: why is it that we rather spend hard-earned money, time, and resources? And I'm not capping on anything. I'm a big football. Yes, I said football. Soccer fan. We rather spend it on an athlete, on a movie star. But when it comes to our dreams, we fill it with doubts. Oh, you know what? I'm not ready. You know what? I don't know. Man, you know. But we rather scream at the top of our lungs out in the cold for a jersey and the last time in the back of a billboard or a field, rather than ourselves, and we forget to be our number one fan.
And that blows me, man, because we believe so much more in other people than we believe in ourselves, that we're willing to go out there and buy somebody else's jersey. We're willing to go out there and buy some other man's product, right? But we don't have belief in our own product. Here's the thing: prove to yourself that you haven't been able to be successful. Most people can't do it. Anything that you actually tried to do and put your mind to, you were able to do. You just tell yourself so often that you can't do it, so much so that you don't do it. So it's like, it's not always the fact that somebody's telling you that you can't do it or you don't have enough faith. If you had a little bit of faith, if you had just as much of faith as you had in that superstar into yourself, who knows what you'd be doing?
That's exactly right.
You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, who's your star player? LeBron don't live your life. Kobe didn't live your life. You know what I'm saying? Michael Jordan don't live your life. You live your life. So why are you allowing these other men to be your star players in your life? Right? I realize that you are who you are, that you can be your star player. And when you spend the time and the money and the resources into yourself, like you said, what do we turn out to be? It's that simple. Find greatness. You become it.
That's true. And I don't want nobody getting the wrong message and thinking that we're saying don't support or don't go out there and believe in somebody. But we're saying that you have to make sure that you build a strong foundation for your own self first. And then even the most important people will thrive from your foundation, your loved one, your kid, your niece, your uncle, whoever. And it helps. It's a healthy thing, not only for yourself or your family, but you pass that wealth on to your kids, that mentality.
Like, I believe that I'm strong enough, smart enough, and capable of doing anything that I want to do. You know what I mean? But that's also because I've proven to myself time and time again through hard work that anything I want to do can happen. I just got to put my mind to it. I got to slow down. I got to take responsibility. That's a tough one right there, take responsibility and accountability. Most people don't even want to do that. Everything that they always have happen to them, they want to blame somebody else. And then once it happens to them, they get so stuck on blaming somebody else to the point where they don't actually do anything about it. They just much rather complain about it. They just much rather just sit there and dwell on it. When they actually realize that you have choices and you have the choice to choose. That's the scary part. People don't realize you get a chance to choose everything that you do. This was a choice of yours to come here and meet me. You know what I mean? It was a choice of yours to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You don't have to do that. Because if you go ahead and do that, you might get fired, but that was a choice that you made. So we all have choices consistently. No person owns us. You just decide on who you allow yourself to follow.
That is true. That is very true. With that winning mentality, is that something you took? Because I know you you practiced, you played football, and football is a big part of your life. I mean, maybe even still to this day. Tell me about how football was part of your upcoming in your childhood.
Football became the scapegoat from all the things that I went through, all the things I had to deal with. And without football, bro, I don't even know if this conversation would happen, right? Because football allowed me to get away from the drama, get away from the negativity. It just gave me a space and a space of peace. Sports overall gave me a space of peace. That's why I played so many. Baseball, track, football, tried to play soccer, got sauced up, wasn't feeling it. You know what I mean? Did wrestling, got pinned, wanted to box.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? So it's just, I tried other sports, man, but I always try to allow myself to find ways to express myself. And sports was my number one way. And in some places, music or poetry, but sports was my number one way to get away.
And you say you did different sports, and you mentioned that you did baseball and everything. You first of all, where did you play ball in high school that landed you to the University of Pittsburgh?
So I went to Apollo Ridge High School. I was able to break some records there and be able to do some things that I'm very proud of. But then I also had opportunities to go to other high schools. But then I met the man, John Skiba, who's still the head coach over there and now athletic director. And man, he had a big part in my life. You know what I mean? Taught me on how to work hard, taught me work ethic, to stay disciplined. You know what I mean? And then from there, I kind of just took it on my own and just went crazy, bro, and just started finding different ways to make myself better. You know, it's just my focus is my personal development. So I got good, and then I became great, and then I was able to become that local hero in some people's eyes, but not all people's eyes.
Okay. I know that you said that he was a big part of your life, and you kind of took that learning from how to be average to being great. How did playing college ball impact your life? What were some of the biggest takeaway from it, and what were some of your hardest lessons?
Some of my biggest takeaways from college ball, man, there wasn't nothing that I felt like I couldn't go through once I got done with college ball, right? I understood the business of football, the business of sports, right? At the end of the day, there's a job to be done. And whether or not you can get your job done is whether or not you have a job at the end of the day, right? So maybe that person starts over you because you didn't do your job. And I learned to be on time, right? Being on time is valuable. People respect people who are on time. And if you can't be on time, allowing them to know at least 30 minutes to an hour earlier that you're not going to be on time is always respectable. I also learned that there's snakes in every alley, right? You got to be careful in what alley you walk down and what snakes you're willing to deal with. Because at the end of the day, like, people have jobs to do. You know what I mean? And you can't take that away from anybody. As much as you have your own personal wants, people also have their own personal wants. And they also have their job requirements. If you don't fit that mold, you won't get that opportunity.
It just exposed you to how, and I hate to say it, a lot of the world works.
Yeah.
Regardless of the industry you work in, you and I understand that you might not be put in a spot, even if you put 1,001%, the keyword here is influence.
Yeah.
Who has influence over who?
Exactly.
Who knows what and who? And like I asked you this behind camera, I know you played along many athletes that you said, for sure this person is a pro, guaranteed. And then you've witnessed it where somebody's uncle's cousin's friend comes in with a last name and magically they get chosen over the person who you said, man, this guy is a pro. I can picture it right now.
Right.
And I know you went through your struggles of different injuries that you faced and all that. At the end of the day, the way I see it is that if you can't perform each and every time how they expect, and my dad mentioned it once, you kind of get a little notching to the side, to the side, to the side. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of the decisions that are made for an institution about a player, whether it be college or pro, more even at pro, and it has nothing to do with the person. Like, they don't get to say nothing.
Right.
It's a business decision.
Right.
We need this person to operate at 200%. He's at a 150. I ain't gonna cut him this week. How did you deal with that kind of pressure and that kind of judgment? Because at the end it's a judgment, right? They're judging you week by day.
Right. And it was difficult at first, man. A little bit of me was a little bit weak-minded at one point in time, man. I needed to do some growing up, and I respected the fact that they played certain people over me. But then it got to a point where I felt like I had made some improvements and gotten better over time and continued to progress. But it taught me a lot about myself, right? That I was resilient, because I've had multiple injuries, and anybody else that I know probably would have quit. You know what I'm saying? Waking up when your knee don't feel right and you know it's cold before it's even cold, right? Like knowing when it's gonna rain a day before it actually rains because of how bad your knee hurts. So, but yeah, man, it just taught me to be very disciplined with myself. Very disciplined with myself. I had to learn to be very strategic, knowing on how to speak to people, knowing how to handle certain people, because there's so many different egos inside of a locker room, right? So you gotta learn on how to respect each person's ego, but also allowing yourself to know in which ways that you allow yourself to be respected, right? You can't allow yourself to be disrespected, and you learn a lot about yourself in those locker rooms.
It's funny that you touch about managing different personalities. Like I said, everywhere you go, doesn't matter where you work. Here is no exception. Where I've been is no exception. You have to know when to say some things, how to approach certain types of people, and at the end, it just develops you further as a professional and a professional for your own journey, right? Now you have better communication skills. Now you know how to easily click with a group of people, right? Because speaking one-on-one with a person is very different versus a crowd of people.
Right.
Now you do your time at Pitt, you do all that, you overcome it, and I know that at a point you hit a very difficult time in your life. All the skills that you took, all the recollection of your childhood and everything, did it give you some of the weapons that you needed for that dark time?
For sure, man. I mean, a lot of the times when I was going through my dark times, man, I had to find a way to fight back against myself, right? When you're going through depression or you're going through anxiety, it comes down to self-accountability, right? Because it's not that your family or somebody around you is not telling you how much they love you, right? It's the fact that you don't want to hear it. And it's the fact that you're dealing with depression on your personal own self, right? So it gets hard to hear people. It gets hard to see people because you're blinded by your own depression. So I had to take self-accountability within myself. Like eventually I was tired of losing to myself. Like it got to a point where I was so dark in a deep darkness where every day I wanted life to end. Like I wanted life to be over from when I was 7 years old till I was 19 years old. Every day. There was not a day I did not think about it, right? And then as I got to my breaking point, I realized I was like, I am not going to continue to lose to me. Because it ain't nobody else's fault. There's nobody else around me. There ain't nobody telling me that they didn't love me. None of that. I'm not going to continue to lose to me. And for a fact, for those people who don't agree with me or who don't want to be in my life, well, then that's their decision. But you're not going to lose to you because of their decision, right? Take some ownership of who you are. And I started to do that. And it was difficult, very, very difficult. It was not easy at all, but I was very blessed to be able to do so and fight back for myself.
Definitely, I give you props because it's not easy.
Right.
1, admitting it.
Right.
2, I'm going to do something about it. And 3, thank you for not following through with whatever you were thinking.
Right.
Because the little that I know about you, which is a lot because I've been doing my research, because people that I don't even know have told me about you, have told me, man, Tre is a stand-up guy. He got this award. He did this for our community. He's this, and that. I mean, the community here just embraces you. You're like, you and shout out to Rocco Martini. You're some of the most influential people that people should know more about that I don't see big hype behind. You should have all the hype. Definitely influence over fame. Right. Like we talked earlier, right? For me, fame is temporary. Influence is the ability to go out to your neighborhood bakery and then wanting to see you. Hey, Tre, how you doing? Right. How you been? How's your lady? How's work? And I think that people like you need to share more of their story because you don't know who's watching. If you're watching and you're going through some kind of mental challenges, you don't know where to go, serve here, Tre, as your guide for you to take up ownership, for you to say, you know what, I don't know what's going on. I don't have it under control. I need help.
For sure, man. And I want to say I thank God. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm saying my savior, just because at the end of the day, man, that's what got me off of that bridge. But like God genuinely was the number one thing who, through prayer, through relief, through hope, allowed me to get myself together and allowed myself to push forward. It took a lot of responsibility, yeah, but also it took a lot of prayer. And with that said, man, like I'm very thankful to be here right now with you as well, man. Just to be able to hang out and continue just to grow and to be able to shoot for that goal of being your neighborhood superhero. I
like you said that you told me that when people ask you what do you do for a living, you say that I'm just your neighborhood superhero.
I think it's the coolest thing ever. I do, man. Because to me, bro, at the end of the day, like I could work anywhere, but my goal is always to help people. You know what I'm saying? I could do anything, but the goal is always to help the people. Doesn't matter where I go, doesn't matter if I'm in Washington, doesn't matter if I'm in California. My goal is always to help the people however I can do that. So at the end of the day, I want to be your neighborhood superhero. So whatever facet that you see that as, I might not have superpowers, but I'll do my best to protect.
How, besides everything that you live and all that, how do you get your brain, your mentality to be so optimistic, yet at the same time so realistic?
The tribe that I have. You know what I mean? I got a strong tribe of people that I keep around me that allow me to be vulnerable when I need to be vulnerable, but also allow me to be who I am as a man, right? Because at the end of the day, bro, sometimes people play too much of a front for these people that are out here, right? They play too much of a front that I'm always okay. And I had to make sure to put that out there because when people say a front, they think about you're wearing a mask in terms of who you are. People consider the realest person in the world and still be putting up a front. And you see it all the time. Well, I'm okay, you can't hurt me, but then you see how hurt they really are. See what I'm saying? So it's like, I never wanted to be like that. I don't want to ever be like that. I want to be honest to how I feel. I want to be real with you and be straight up with you. But I only can be straight up with certain people around me. You know what I mean? The people who deserve that respect and responsibility, who have proven to have that accountability for me and also that respect for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't give that to everybody, but I allow myself to be vulnerable around those people so they know what I look like when I am being upset, or I am mad, or I am feeling great. So like, because there's times where you are your worst enemy, and there's times that we all go through that. Your tribe are the people that you trust to get you out of that. You know what I'm saying? And I have a strong tribe, so I'm very blessed and thankful for the tribe that I have, the friends that I have, and I gotta name them all: DeAndre Johnson, Elijah Jackson, Edgar Perilla, Ely Khalil, Jamil Khalil, Nick Cassis, Angelo Priori, Artie Priori. The list is never ending. Zeke Walker, Chris Fick, Jeremy Jackson, Julian Flanori. The list is endless in terms of the right people, right? I probably got a total of 15 that I can say is part of my tribe, but we stick with each other. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very blessed, man. I'm very thankful for the tribe that I have, and that's the reason why I am able to be so optimistic and so forward thinking. Is because my tribe holds it down for me. You know what I'm saying? And my woman, of course, as well holds it down for me. Taylor Meyer, she's a strong woman in herself. So I got a good clique around me, bro. A good group of people around me. So it allows me to be very optimistic.
Good, and it's important. Your circle defines the ability for you to reach those other goals. Like you said, I believe to be important because everybody in a circle plays a key part, like in a football lineup, right? Mm. Somebody's gonna block. Somebody's going to be the quarterback throwing the ball. Somebody's going to run the ball. Mm. And I know that at times you've bounced ideas or you're thinking of doing something, and your tribe with 100% confidence can come up to you and say, "Hey, Trey, I think you might make a mistake there, man." Mm-hmm. Like, hey, or I don't. It's your life, but I wouldn't do this because X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you need those people right in your life that kind of like tug your shirt a little bit and say, "Hey, I think you might be out of your line of, right. and your desired goal here."
Right.
And it's important.
Yeah, and they keep me in line, bro. They keep me in check. So that's the reason why I love them, man. They keep me here, bro, because I'm a big dreamer, bro. I'm a big dreamer. They keep me right here on solid ground, so I know what I got to do to go reach those dreams and make ambitions. So I'm very thankful for all the people that I mentioned and the ones that I didn't mention. There's more that also play a role in my life.
Now, Trey, I just get this vibe, man. Like it's just a few people that I've met throughout my travels and throughout my interactions that I get this vibe. And definitely, you stick out like a sore thumb, man. And in the best kind of way. I know back whenever you were playing for Pitt, you received the Disney Spirit Award. Yeah. And that goes out to the most inspirational, motivational, either individual or team. But you received it by all on your own. How was that, man? And I could tell it makes sense.
Nah, man, I owe that all to my team, man. That 2021 ACC championship team was the only reason why I was able to really win that award, right? Like, because at that time period, I had lost my mom and I was ready to give up on football, right? Sorry, so I never really even got to that award. But they made sure to show out for me. Coach Narduzzi came to see me. Coach Chris Casala came to see me. Kenny Pickett came to see me. Everybody that was in that group, my receiver coach, Brennan Marion, came to see me. And they all reached out. They all made sure to come check on their brother. And that's what allowed me to go back to ball. That's what allowed me to go back to sports. And in doing so, I was able to share my story and the things that I've been through. And once I was able to do that, man, I was just thankful enough to win the award. I had no idea I'd even come close to winning the award, man. I just wanted to help somebody else out. Because again, as much as it's cool to be famous or whatever it may be, I'd rather be effective.
Oh, Effective over everything. I like that, and we forget that, right? We get so much of a tunnel vision, or we see the hype of something and we want to jump on it, and we really forget to ask ourselves: is this effective? How is this influencing my life? What I'm about to do or collaborate? How does this relationship affect my goal or my purpose? And it's important. Now, you played, you got out of there. You're the perfect example of how a misfortune develops and morphs into something more meaningful.
Right.
God has a plan. We can't call the place.
Right.
God calls them, right? We're there, we show up, we train, and God is going to call the place as they happen, literally in the moment. You've turned challenges, you've turned situations that other people might say, you know what, I would have given up the moment that happened. And you made something out of nothing, quote unquote. How important it is for you to understand, how important it is for you to get something and put hard work into it and make it work for you. Do you believe in that concept that you might want to be a sports analyst, but you end up not being one? But maybe you get a side road into working in media around sports. Do you think that always people forget that you might not get to the original goal and you might develop something else?
I always focus on my personal development. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, whatever God's mission is for me is for me. You know what I mean? The reason why I say that is because God's mission is the mission that I'm on. At the end of the day, whatever that may be, is where I'm going. You know what I mean? I have goals and I have aspirations. I'm stopping at nothing until I get to them, for sure. But whatever which way that leads me into another direction, as long as God chose it, I'm all right with it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, the reason why I've been able to be so resilient is because you can't break me. If your name is not Jesus and your name is not God, you cannot break me. It could be physical, it can be mental, it can be emotional. I'm gonna get back up, it'll be figured out. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, as long as I have God on my side, I don't really worry too much. So like, ultimately, whatever direction that he may put me on, whether it's through Pavement, as going with the Pavement Group, or whether it's through being your neighborhood superhero, I'm gonna always continue to give to the people that I wanna give to and do the things that I wanna do.
There you go. Now, how are you giving back, and what is a part that the Pavement Group plays now in your life?
For sure, man. So now the Pavement Group has now allowed me the access to have a job where I'm able to give back and able to help the community, right? We're looking for different nonprofits and different organizations that need some work and some help, and be able to offer our help as much as possible. Currently working on a mentorship program that I had recently talked to you about, where we mentor the mentors, right? Where we show them about financial literacy, we show them about mental health, we show them about relationships, and how important your network is, right? And how important it is to be the person that you are in the relationships that you're in. You know what I mean? So those are the things that we focus on, because again, as much as we want to touch every single person in every community, we don't have the ear of every person in the community, but we know people who do. And if we can find the right mentor who does have the ear of the community and teach them the right stuff, and he goes out and teaches them, then we've touched our hands on every single person that we possibly could. You know what I mean? So we have a goal of doing that coming here soon with the one team, as well as we help out different athletes with NIL deals. So we recently had given out an NIL deal to a very prestigious athlete out here, and since then we've been allowing him to go through our leadership classes that we're also looking forward to being able to do in the future, and continue to find different athletes to help them with their specific things in leadership. Because as you asked me before, in terms of what football taught me, right? It taught me a lot about business, and that's something that I want to continue to teach these athletes going through the transition of either A, not playing anymore, or B, going into their professional life. Learning on how to be very, very attentive, learning on how to negotiate your contract, you know what I mean? Knowing the different things, the different bylaws that comes with that, being able to teach that, being able to show them that, so they're never out of the loop. Because all too often, athletes are taken advantage of. We want to give power back to the athlete. So we have a couple of things coming out, and I'm very thankful to the Pavement Group, Ryan Hesson, and that community as well, man, for giving me an opportunity to help live out my dreams to their company. So again, I'm working with a bunch of superheroes, man. I feel like I'm a part of the Avengers sometimes, man. It's been really cool, man. It's been really cool.
And I think it's wonderful that you're finding how to channel all these resources and all this for the community, and to give back, like you said, it's owed not only to yourself, but also to this great community around here. So anybody in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, Wexford, Cranberry, if you would like to collaborate, Tre Tipton is your man. He's the man with the plan, your local superhero. And what's next for Tre? What are your plans in here in the short term? Is there something that you have brewing? I know you have a lot of, you have a podcast with VC2R. Shout out to Vinny. I know you're collaborating with him and doing regular podcast episodes, but what's next for you?
Man, like I said, bro, continue to be that local superhero, right? So we got some plans, as I told you guys, are ready to go and help the community. And those plans are being put into works now, man. Everything that we do is still see the impact. Everything that we're going to do and that's coming up, it's going to be a blessing, bro. I'm ready for the ride. So it's going to be fun, bro. I got some speaking engagements coming out, so look out for me, bro. I'm definitely going to be out there, maybe at your local school, who knows. But I'm doing a lot of different things, man, and teaming with the right people, as well as I'm also coaching at Mount Lebanon High School, which is funny because I never thought I'd be over there, but it's definitely a different, intriguing experience. So I just, again, man, whatever I can do to get back in the community, that's my main focus. That's what I plan on doing. So that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, man. I know you always have your hands full. Once again, thank you for your time and attention, for sitting here down with me and sharing some of your story. I hope that in your future endeavors, you get the best of luck. And if you ever need anything, you know to reach out. I know you have your hands on different fires right now at the time, but all in the best of faith. And I know you're always trying to build something that gives back to the community. Now, I remember a quote that you said in an interview. Let me see if I can remember. You're not self-centered. You're centered yourself. Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
I'm glad you actually brought that one back up. Nah, man, I'm just focused on me, bro. I'm not the person that is out here saying that I'm the best at this or you don't deserve this because I'm here. Nah, bro, I'm just focused on making myself improve one day at a time. Self-improvement is the best improvement, right? So the more that I'm successful, the more that I work on me, right? The better that I am at being me is better for everybody else. It's better for my enemies, it's better for my friends, it's better for my family. You know why?
Why?
Because now it allows each of them to decide where they stand in my life. Are you family, are you friend, or are you enemy? Right? Because I'm gonna continue to do the best me. Because as soon as you start doing the best you, it comes out. You know who's really for you. You know who's really not for you.
That's true.
You know what I mean? It could be your best friend telling you that you can't do it, but can also be an enemy telling you that you could do it. So you just allow yourself to decipher and really understand on who you're around by being your best self, right? And as long as you're focused on that, whoever's meant for you will be for you. Whoever's supposed to be around you will be around you. And whatever you're meant to do, you'll do. So again, I'm not self-centered. I'm just centered within myself.
Nice. Any message for the world? The camera's all yours.
Doesn't take much to be a superhero, man. All you gotta do is care. And it doesn't take much to care if you just actually get up and get off your feet or get on your feet and make something shake. So just care a little bit more, bro. Give back to your community however you can and look out for the young ones, man, because right now the world is a little bit hectic, right? But we can bring it back to reality. We can bring it back to center. You know what I mean? We just gotta really, really give back. We gotta give, we gotta care, we gotta love. So give, care, and love, man. And as long as you do that, maybe you could be a neighborhood superhero.
Tre, thank you once again, Tre Tipton, everybody. Thank you for joining me once again, Tre. We wish you the best, and I know you're going to excel in anything and everything that you do. If you ever want to head back to Texas, you know you have the doors wide open with me out there, and wish you nothing but the best.
Appreciate you, fam. Thank you.
You're welcome. Once again, I'm your host, Jacopo Valderrama, but you can call me Jaco. Start at motivation. Peace. Appreciate it, everybody.
Appreciate you for having me.
Oh, no.